If you enjoy the subject matter of these podcasts, then you would definitely enjoy any of the 3 Patreon discussion groups that are available. You can read about these groups by going to theinfinitesparkofbeing.com and clicking the participate button. I also offer a meditation group every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go to any of my social media profiles and find a link tree with that information as well. This is a community of everyday people who are interested in living with a deeper understanding of spiritual practice and how it can be applied in a practical sense to our everyday lives. So join us. Welcome to the Infinite Spark of Being podcast. My name is Keith Welsh, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about renunciation, what it means in a practical sense. So let's get into it. This month, I will be discussing that a lot, as that is the topic of our Patreon groups, as they are centered around the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita right now, which is about renunciation. Truthfully, this episode probably should have happened last week, and this episode should probably be a look at how it applies to the Bhagavad Gita. But here we are. I can't even remember what I did last week. That's how my brain works. In fact, usually when I get done recording this, I don't remember really what I talked about. It either felt good or it didn't. So renunciation means to denounce, release, to give up on an idea, a belief, a philosophy, to let go of these things. But I want to also give you 2 other words to consider. Offering and sacrifice. All sacrifices are offerings, but not all offerings are sacrifices. These 2 words have a very nuanced difference. Sacrifices are usually hurt to offer up. Like that offering, the thing you just offered up, it's putting you out big time to let go of it. Sacrificing a certain amount of money that would hurt you financially, it's a sacrifice. Donating money that isn't going to hurt you is an offering. You can look at it that way. Does it hurt you to give it up, or to give it to somebody else, or to offer it up to God? So we can think about what we are willing to renounce as an offering or sacrifice, depending on how deep you want to go here. So a tendency of most people is to go to extremes with spiritual ideas like renunciation, karma yoga, letting go of the attachment to the outcome. When you get into karma yoga, people are like, oh, well, the path of selfless service. I guess I just have to quit my 6-figure job and go work in a soup kitchen. No. Selfless service, small self, get rid of. Ego, get rid of. Less of those 2 things, and you just serve, which leads you to non-attachment to outcome, meaning that you love because you love. You love someone not for what they can give you or what they do for you. You just love them. You do what you do because that's what you do. You do a job because that's what you do. You're there to do a good job. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to do a good job. I am friends not for what they can give me or what I can get out of it. Can you live with less of the small self, less of the carnal mind, less of the conscious mind, less of the egocentric mind, and live more closely to the divine mind, the higher self, things like that? That's really what those things are. It's not about giving up your vocation. It's about, can you do it without attachment to the outcome? Well, the outcome is how I make my commission, for instance. Well, okay. But you still want to sell. Like if you're a salesperson, you got a commission. You still want to sell well. You still want to do a good job. I'd hope so. You still need to sell. That is your job. And you just do it. And I promise you that if you just do it that way, then things will work out better. Anyway, so renunciation, sorry. It doesn't mean giving up on everything and turning your back on your family and your kids and your pets and your job. And it's not what it is. And a lot of times we do that. You're not a sannyasi or a monk. Remember, within Buddhism, especially, the role of the householder is a higher path than the monk. Because anybody can get rid of all of the trappings and be super mindful and spiritual. But can you be that way in the face of the world? That's the question. So here we go. So what do we renounce then? Well, I can give you a personal example. This year, I have especially renounced my fears in relationship. Letting go of the fears that I have about being hurt, the fears that I have, like all of my conscious mind that keeps spitting all of these fears up. Whereas my super conscious mind, my higher self, my divine mind goes, no, this is the right route. And thank God that I have a level of mindfulness that I can more or less disregard the fearful thoughts, use discernment and metacognition to pick new ways of thinking, different ways of thinking about it. Being able to disregard my nervous system getting tight and scared so I've been doing opposites, especially in relationship. When I feel like leaning in really hard, I lean back a little bit. When I feel like leaning away and things like that, I kind of lean in, I rest on it, I lean into her a bit more. Another way you could look at it is you have these goals, especially, a lot of people, and my intention with the things that I do with the Infinite Spark of Being is to transform our lives through spiritual practice that is a practical and understandable thing, right? And a lot of you have an interest in the law of attraction and manifestation, these sorts of things. And I've talked enough about it. I don't need to go into what those things are, but Florence Scovel Shinn in The Game of Life talked about the conscious mind being the carnal mind, that it was the old derelict. It's the old derelict mind. I like to think of the conscious mind as being very concerned with biological imperatives and evolutionary psychology. It's very root chakra, root base kind of thinking, which is necessary to stay alive. You have to have it. And then the divine mind, or the superconscious mind, the higher self, is our higher self. It's our connection with good ideas, where we need to be, the thing that is going to liberate us and give us a beautiful life, right? So can you renounce your fears about making the move that you need to make to improve your life? Can you renounce those fears? Can you renounce your attachment to what your family members are going to say and do? Can you let go of that and just act? Can you love them without expectation for a return? Can you be present to them without attachment to their behavior? That's all. And, like Ram Dass used to say, that if you want to know, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. There's something about our family that just really gets us. My mom was like that. My cousins who I'm close to, they're not really like that. They're pretty easygoing. But that's renunciation. Letting go of your attachment to a belief about yourself, for instance. A fear that you've got about if you make that step towards that thing, can you let go of your fear of what's going to happen next and just act and just be appropriate and be mindful without the need to defend yourself constantly? And again, this is Americans, Westerners have a tendency to go to extremes. You could say like, well, what am I supposed to just, stay in this crappy relationship? And If you believe that you would benefit from working with me one-on-one on anxiety, ruminating thinking, grief and loss, or stress management, then shoot me an email or a direct message. Or if you're interested in learning about how meditation and spiritual practice can transform your reality and in turn change your life, then again, please reach out through email or direct message. Thank you. That's not what we're talking about here. You know, I'm not telling you to put your life in danger. You know, while we're on it, if you're in this like bad relationship, can you let go of your fears and move in a different direction? You know, that's renunciation. What about letting go of the scared small self? Letting go of Arjuna in favor of Krishna. Can you let go of Ravana in favor of Ram? After all, Ravana just wants to go home. Those of you that read the Ramayana will understand that. That's true renunciation. And every day I'm renouncing things and letting go of things. Really what we're doing in renunciation is we're releasing the burden. You know, it's renounce it, release it. I'll let it go. I'm not gonna get, you know, you let go of it and it's just, that's it. I'm renouncing politics. I'm renouncing current events. I'm renouncing, I don't know, you name it. And the word renounce is very dramatic. You know, we think of renouncing something, think of like this, you know, declaration of like, I am no longer, you know, and it's not that. That's why I like the word release. Can you just release it? Can you let go of it? I've found that in letting go of things, I float in the river. When I'm attached to things, certain things, I'm holding them too closely, you get a little tired in the river. You try to swim faster than the river. You try to swim against the river. I've mentioned this a million times. But it's like that. You know, renounce and release. Can you just put it down? Anger. Can you renounce your anger? No, but they wronged me. No. I said renounce the anger. All that means is that you might go to your primary emotion around the event. Well, the truth is, I'm sad and I'm scared. Okay, there you go. Renounce the anger, then you sit with the scared, fear, or that stuff. And then you start to notice, well, fear hasn't really helped me. You know, things kind of, if you're just doing the appropriate things, acting in the appropriate way, pushing and pulling in an appropriate manner, like in the Eightfold Path, the idea of right effort, you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, then what you start to notice is that most things just work out. I like to think of, you know, it might not be okay, but it will be all right. And not A-L-R-I-G-H-T, but all, A-L-L-R-I-G-H-T. It is all right. It is all appropriate. It is all lawful. It all makes sense. And that's also a tough one to swallow. If you're an anxious person living in a chaotic universe that you've created for yourself, think about it. You haven't done anything to fix it. You haven't let go of anything. You've tried to hold on to all of your fear and all of your bullshit that nothing can surprise you. You've left no room for the universe to surprise you. You've left no room for God to work any magic. You've left no room, as it's filled with your shit. Your mind is consumed with your thoughts and your fears to where the divine mind can't even speak. There's no room for it because your conscious mind is too frantic and it's yelling and screaming about this and bitching about that. So there's no way you'll ever hear your higher self. It's what always gets me about people praying for guidance. You don't need to pray for guidance. You have it. You know what to do, but you're too afraid to do it. Or there's so much chatter in your mind. So you'll sit and pray for guidance, but you have nothing as far as a meditative practice that would quiet that chattering. Nothing dedicated and serious. Nothing regular. Well, on Sundays I try to sit quietly. No, every day. Just do it every day. So think about that. Is there any good reason you should have the life and the experiences that you want other than you think you deserve them? Have you given up the things you need to give up? Have you tried to have your cake and eat it too? There's a lot of giving up that I've had to do this year. Letting go, releasing, renouncing and releasing my fears, renouncing and releasing my ideas, renouncing and releasing my beliefs. And it all works out. I promise you it works out. Everyone in our group and these Patreon groups is having the same experience. When you start to renounce the bullshit, things start to happen. It doesn't necessarily make sense. Your mind starts to notice abundance, and it notices opportunities, and it notices the ease that is already there. But you have to put the other shit down first. Like, let's say this, okay. Let's say you had 20 pounds. Say you had two 10-pound weights in your arms. And then someone gave you a 5-pound weight. The 5-pound would be so fucking heavy. It'd be like, Jesus Christ, this just got really heavy. But what if that 5-pound weight was something that you wanted, something that you needed? But you're too busy carrying these other two things. Because if you put those other things down, because the darkness and the fear and the angst and all the shit is so much heavier than the rest of it, then you could easily carry that 5 pounds. If you had 20 pounds worth of lead and 5 pounds worth of gold, and the gold just makes it all unbearable, but you don't even care because you're so tired of carrying all of it. So put the 20 pounds down. Renounce those things. Release those things. Release the burden of those things, because you know damn good and well that worrying never changed a fucking thing. It's the same. Worrying is praying for what you don't want. Worrying becomes your mantra. It becomes your affirmation. And now you got to worry about that too. Well, fucking good luck. You're so full of those things that nothing else will go in. That's what's happening. And it's so hard because of the negativity bias in the mind and the negativity effect, which is the idea that negative information will always outweigh positive or neutral information. And you run in these circles where it's like the negative shit won't even get. That's what depression is. Depression's like a thought loop. You know, and it just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes, and you overthink it. And you need something to break that up, and that's usually where the meditative practice comes in. Because we do know that the meditative practice, meditation, turns down the default mode network in the brain. So do psychedelics, but that's thousands of dollars of therapy and psychedelic therapy and this and that, and good luck finding mushrooms. It's a whole thing. Right? If you decide that you want to just do it, and I'm just going to take a bunch of mushrooms and fix my problems, you won't, because you need to be pushed, and you're not going to do it yourself. So, meditation literally turns down the default mode network of the brain, which is the egocentric part of the brain, and allows you to see other opportunities and other things, and allows you to renounce the things that are hurting you. Because now you're not operating out of fear, and you just see it very clearly. And it's free. Meditation's free. Unless you want to talk to me about it. But, you know, you can start. Give it a shot. And if you do need help, you know, you can always holler at me. But, yeah. I think it's been really great watching all of the progress in our group. It's been so great. And if it wasn't, I love it. Because after a while of working with people, you can get very, I guess the word's jaded, you know, because you get so many people that won't help themselves. They just won't. They think they can. They think they want to, but they don't. They love sitting in their own shit too much. It's the familiar hell over the unfamiliar heaven kind of thing. Like, you always take the familiar hell over the unfamiliar heaven. But watching everyone grow has been so cool. And the people that I work with privately, watching them get it and make those big changes, that's awesome. But seeing that I don't know everything and that miracles still happen, it's awesome. So, renunciation, renounce, release, let it go, put it down, stop carrying this shit around with you. Yeah, that's another thing. And as I say that, you know, so many people, and I used to believe this too, that you can't just stop it. You can, though. It's just, sometimes that's really scary, because so much of your identity is wrapped up in this thing that your nervous system literally locks up around the idea even of not being that scared small person anymore. It's very interesting. I find it fascinating that that's a thing. Anyway, join the Patreon. We're doing cool stuff. It's such a nice little group. It's just regular people, regular everyday folks. Okay. Things are changing, more things to come. Working on some stuff. I'm excited about it. I love you. I love you. I love you. Bye.
If you enjoy this content and would like to support the further creation of this content, go to the website theinfinitesparkofbeing.com. There you can explore the many ways you can do that. Also, click the About button, read a little bit about me, see what I have to offer you in terms of one-on-one sessions. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out the Patreon tiers. We are building a spiritual community of everyday people with not so everyday interests. So go ahead and check out the participate button on the website and join us.